is Celeste from Leste's Crochet. You may know what I do, but you also may not. So I run a small business called Leste's Crochet. I make handmade crochet plushies, and I also make the patterns to allow people to make them themselves. So I thought I'd try, I've had this YouTube channel for a little bit, but I actually haven't posted too much on it, just predominantly shorts, but I thought I'd do a little bit more of an in-depth video on how I make some of my plushies. So here's usually how I start. Is I have a design or idea in my head that might come up on the spot, or I do have a notes document in my phone of just plenty of ideas that I haven't got around to making yet. So today's one is Valentine's themed, but also kind of not. So it is a white bunny. I'm thinking of using more of a chunky yarn for that one. I want it to have pink pajamas that has red hearts on it. Don't know if I'm going to crochet them, embroider them, or going to find patches for it yet, but I want it to have that pink pajamas. And then I also want it to have that typical sleeping hat that's got little pom-pom at the end. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I have an idea in my head. But also I have all these these plushies currently listed on my website, www.lestescrochet.com. They are all for sale at the moment. I ship internationally, and they are looking for their forever homes at the moment. So if you like any, maybe check it out. If you're thinking of starting crocheting, I do also have some super easy and amazing patterns, so make sure you check that out as well. So let's get started. So I'm going to pop you down here. So my idea for the bunny in terms of the yarn I want to use, I think I'm going to use this one. So to be honest, I don't really use blanket yarn a whole lot. I do prefer more of the chunky parfait yarn, but I do have a bit of it, so I do want to use it. So I'm using the Yarnspirations Bernat blanket yarn, and it is in the color Vintage White. For the ears, I'm using a 5mm crochet hook. If it wants to focus, there we go. And then for the body, I will be using a 3.5 or 4mm, depending on how tight I want my stitches and how much I need to stuff the bunny. So I'm going to start with my ears using my bunny crochet pattern, and for the body I will be using my teddy bear crochet pattern. So I'm going to start with the ears. I'll make my first ear, and then I'll show you guys how it is now a little bit later, and so I have made my first ear. So this is it here. Hopefully it's big enough. I'm not 100% sure yet. I usually do make the head and body first and then make the ears, but I felt like making the ears first today. So we'll see if it's big enough. I did modify my bunny pattern ears slightly. I didn't do all the rounds, and I also finished a bit earlier. So let's make the second ear, and then we'll see how it matches with the head. So it is now a few days later, and me being me, of course, I forgot to film the rest of this video, so I'm going to insert some footage from some of the videos I made. Sorry, they are in portrait mode, but I am finished making the plushie, so I'll show you guys now. So the plushie is almost finished, and in proper Leste's Crochet fashion, it turned out nothing like I wanted to at the start, because I changed my idea midway. Usually that's how it goes. I start off with an idea and it ends up almost completely different. But as you can see, it is a bunny plushie still. It's made from super chunky yarn, and it's froggy themed. So let me finish that one, and I have one more thing to do, and then I'll show you guys how it looks fine in the final video. Okay, so I'm doing the final touches for my plushie. So I am making a little strap for the bonnet hat. So I'm just doing that using, if I can do it, I'm just going to do 2 lines of chains. So I'll do them separately, obviously, so I can attach them to either side of the hat, and then do a big bow under the chin. So I find a lot of the times the best way to crochet anything is to just try and undo it and keep going until you're happy with the final product, which is something that's really important for crocheting. Trial and error is what I was trying to say. I just couldn't remember the word. So trial and error is how everything pretty much works with crochet. I have so many plushies that I've made that I've literally done and undone 5 times, just so I'm happy with how it looks in the end. Now I've made my chain, However, I've just attached it just like preemptively just into here just to see how it looks. And I think that like the strap's just getting lost because I do have a bow here in the same color, so I think it's just getting lost on the bunny. So I'm now going to try making a chain in some of this color yarn, which is chunky yarn. So I'm going to get that one and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got some of my burnout blanket yarn in the light green color, and then I'm just going to go to my little collection of crochet hooks. I'm going to pull out a 4.5mm crochet hook, and if I can find the end, I'm going to repeat that process, making another 2 sets of chains, and I'll see how it looks in this color. So that was just 30 chains, so that gives me a piece about that long. So now that I always rather do a longer chain to start off with, and then I can just frog it as I need it shorter. So I'm just gonna stick it, and what I might actually do is grab my pin donut and just pin on the top of the hat. Just pin that one down. So hopefully I've pinned it through. Yes, I have. So now I'm just going to take it, although I like that so much better. So that's the one side, and then it'll meet here and form into a bow. So trial and error, as you can see, that looks so much better. It doesn't get lost in the rest of the bunny or like the rest of the color of its jumpsuit or like the bow. So I'm going to go make another one of these. So I'm passing it off here. So I'll unpin it. I'll get my scissors. About that much for sewing. I always rather leave the long tail for sewing because it's so much easier than having to join a separate piece. So that's that one. So I'm going to make it fasten onto my crochet hook again, still using the 4.5mm, and I'm going to do it all over again. Again, awesome, perfect. So they are the same length. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that one out of the way, and I'm going to bring my bunny back into the picture. Let me just fix up one of the yarn strings that have put through. Perfect. So I got my bunny here. So let's see if I can do it facing you guys. Let me just adjust the angle. Heart-shaped pins, because the tip kind of prevents it like slipping out. So I'm going to place that one down there. And so just in front of both of the ears, I'm just going to pin it down like that, and then there's so many cuts in this video. It's because my phone is currently resting on my sleeping dog, and occasionally he kicks in his sleep. So then I have to start a new video. So I'm pinning the side with the long tail closer to the head. So it looks like this at the moment. It looks a bit crazy, but we're going to sew it. So I'm going to now get my blunt tip yarning needle. Now a blunt tip yarning needle, I started originally with this one, so you can see just how sharp that is, and it works great. However, it also, because sometimes it can be hard to force the needle through the chunkier yarns, it will go straight into your finger, and that happened to me, and ever since then I've now used blunt tip. yarning needles. I do have both plastic and metal ones. However, I've just found that the metal ones is so much better because I do work predominantly with chunky yarn, and it just is so much better at going through the yarn, and it's not bendy, which is one of the problems I found with the plastic. So I've just weaved it through both ways so it's attached to the hat, and then I'm also just going to tie just a normal knot and pull that all the way up. There we go, perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my tail, and then I'm just going to weave it into the rest of the hat so you won't see it. Perfect. So now I've got that. I'm going to repeat that process on the other side, grabbing my yarning needle again and my tail I left for sewing. I'm going to go through the hat from underneath. I'm going to go over, making sure I'm going through the chain on both sides of that. Perfect. I can take the pin out, and I actually just didn't sew it at all, so oops. You gotta make sure. Sometimes I accidentally go back through like the same stitch, and then obviously it comes undone. So this one's a bit trickier, so I'm just going to sew it into 2 different stitches, up and back down. That should hold perfectly fine, and then I'm going to repeat the process of tying a knot with the chain and my tail, just so it's nice and secure and it won't come undone. And then I pull the knot up and tighten it, cut my yarn and weave in the edge. Perfect. So now I have, looks so funny, these 2 little strings coming down from either side. So I'm now just going to take them, run them along the outside of the face, just like that, and tie a knot. I might even sew it to the neckline, just so it doesn't move. So tying a bow as well. There we go. So I might just take, I love that, that's so cute. So now I've got some yarn scraps from my tail I cut off earlier, so I'm just going to go behind the knot and just sew through it like this, and then back down into the neckline, and then just tie a knot with the tail I left at the start. So that's that one, so then I'll just pull that around just like this. Perfect. So that one's sitting in a nice bow. It's pretty normal to have to like continually adjust the bow, because obviously it will sit where it wants to sit and not where you want it to sit. So just like that, and then tie another bow. Usually when I'm crocheting, I do normally listen to a podcast, or a lot of the times I'll be watching YouTube, like easy watching Netflix, like series or Friends, stuff like that. And that's what a lot of the time people ask me, how do you crochet for so long? And it's because I find ways to entertain myself. Alright, so with my long tail, I have now, from sewing the bow at the base of the neck, I'm just going to tuck it into the other stitches around, and then I'm going to pull and adjust that again, adjust my bow. Perfect. And this is my finished bunny plushie. I think it came out so cute, and I think I might just have to make a pattern for this beautiful bunny. What do you guys think?